I hope you had a nice cuppa. I just had a delicious beverage and some water. Both of these things are my constant companion through the day of Modual. And there's a lovely plant that you can see, and surely that's the plant in the Ali Rowe. And I think she's in Bristol, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. But yeah, you are still on a break technically, so don't worry. There's no real need for you to be back in this room yet, this call yet. I'm just holding the space. But yeah, we're going to start in about a minute. So Annie is just preparing herself. Yeah, and as I said, that's pretty much in terms of the workshop for today. Once you've posted your ideas, which I'm sure you all have, I haven't checked, but other members of the team are checking. But once you've posted your idea in that came out of that last exercise, the one idea that leapt out at you about the project you would create if you knew you could not fail, the thing you would create to make the world a better place if you knew you couldn't fail, make sure you posted that in the Slack, in the questions sharing channels, and then yes, your work for the day is pretty much done. There's a little bit of mopping up later. I just want to log that we are aware that we're in 11 different time zones, and so for some of you it's going to be very late. So thank you so much again for sticking with it, for being with us at this weird time of day and doing this weird thing. As I say, we've got Ali coming up next, and she's going to be amazing. And Extinction Rebellion are a fantastic organisation, so I think it will be worthy of your time. But yeah, as I say, we do appreciate the fact that this is probably a slightly different time zone from the normal working day for many of you. So thank you again for joining us at this time of day. It's very much appreciated. And it's the nature, unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate to some degree, but an international workshop is hard. If anyone is on the call from Australia, you really do have my respect, let alone the west coast of America, because that really would be quite a stretch. We did a workshop a while ago where we had people from Australia in it as well, from Melbourne. We did one with a collaboration with the university out there, RMIT, and there was only a kind of like 2 or 3 hour zone that worked for everybody. I think it was 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and that was like midnight or something for Australia, and then very early in the morning for some people as well. So that was the only time we could do. But for this one, we're going for the full morning. You're getting the full deal. And so, yes, as I say, if you're up late, then thank you. And as I say, I think we will be able to reward you with not only a little bit more of me and Abby after this, but first of all, the amazing Ali Rowe from Extinction Rebellion, who is just, I can see, taking her position, having got a cup of tea. So we're going to do talks every day for the first 3-4 days, I think it is. So until Thursday, you'll get a talk in this slot from one of our partners, who are going to share their thoughts and opinions with you. And I'm sure, in fact, that they will be inspiring and interesting. That's the intention, is to give you some context. This doesn't necessarily, tailor any ideas you have to follow these points, but they're inspired, I would say. The idea is that you are, you can take some interesting points and context from this. And Ali's been very active for a while now. I know she's super busy at this point in time with a lot of XR stuff. So it's great that she took time out to join us, and we really appreciate it, Ali. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're going to hear from her very shortly. Just getting herself set up. So I will take another sip of my delicious tea. Cool. So, Ali, how you doing? Are you there? Can you hear me? I see your mic's on. Just a last adjustment. Once we have Ali back in the room, we will begin with the first expert talk of the workshop. Okay. All right. So, what can I tell you now? While I am sitting here, tomorrow we will be doing stuff in a slightly different way. We will be in larger groups. No, pretty much no pairs tomorrow, I think. Although I might ask you to do some individual stuff, but that's a whole different kettle of fish, and we can go over that tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not sure how to communicate with Ali that we are ready for her, but I'm sure someone from the team is ready to go. And indeed, here she is. Hello, she's back. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ali.
No worries.
How are you? No,
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's quite hot. Enjoying that. We've had a great day. It's been very exciting. All the build up, and now it's finally here. Very
Brilliant.
cool. Yeah.
Where are you currently?
Say again?
Where are you currently?
I'm in London. I'm at home in London. But we've got people from 11 different time zones of the world.
Wow.
All over the place. So it's an international operation, this one. Which is, I'm very excited. And yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
That's
very
fine.
good.
I slightly been up early this morning doing an action, as I think we said. So.
Well, a long day.
Yeah, definitely. But it's very fun to be here. It's great.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. And yeah, the floor is yours whenever you'd like it. I will pass over to you.
Brilliant, thanks. So I'm just going to quickly put my phone on silent because I forgot to do that, which is really bad form. Sorry, guys. So I'm Ali, and I think I might have met some of you before, which is very exciting, and some of you are going to be new to me. So hello to the guys I've not met before. So I just want to have a little chat about Extinction Rebellion. Some of you might have heard of us, some of you might not. So we'll go kind of from the top, really. So I've got some notes to one side. So if I'm looking like I'm looking off screen, that's why. So I've been part of XR, which probably feels a little bit like a lifetime now, but it's only actually been 2 years. So I've been involved in the rebellions in the UK, but I also work globally, and I sit inside the media messaging team. And that also includes press, videographers, filmmakers, photographers, set designers, all kinds of people. And between us, we help make actions happen in a protesting way. So I'm just going to rattle through some of these slides for you. So the reason why XR came about is we are a non-partisan movement, and in simple terms, what that means is we're kind of apolitical. And the idea is that we are working globally to get the government to act around the climate ecological emergency. So there's some slides here. Some of these I'm not going to read them all because they're there for you to look at later on when you want to. So the way that we do that is we look at our 3 demands, and those are about telling the truth and about acting now. And the acting now means you have to embody what that means, not just kind of talking about it, but you actually have to act as if you believe that the truth needs to be spoken about. And then the third one is around citizens' assemblies. But for this talk today, I'm going to talk around the two first ones, which are telling the truth and acting now. So XR is a global movement. We've got 1,133. I think that might have changed now, actually. I think we might have more than that. And that's in that local groups in 69 countries. As you can see here. And if you go on the XR page, on the kind of global page, you can kind of click on the events and you can see where they're happening. So you can see, or anyone can kind of get involved. So protesting, how design can make a difference. So I don't know if any of you, I'm hoping maybe some of you have been along to protests in your life, whether it's XR or whether it's any other kind of protest. And design does make a massive, huge difference. And I'll talk a little bit about why. So the stuff that I'm going to run through with you now is we worked with our fellow rebels in New York, and we kind of came up with this hybrid action toolkit. So for the people that came along to the talk I did last time, we were talking about how do we protest in a time of corona. So that was just on the verge of where we were. And obviously time has kind of moved quite significantly, and a lot of countries are slowly coming out of lockdown. So this was designed around the time when we were in lockdown. There wasn't a lot of movement going on, and mass mobilisation was just not possible. It was deemed, in the UK, it was deemed illegal under the Corona Bill. So I don't know about laws around the world, so I'm really sorry that I can't kind of talk to that. But yeah, so this is what this was designed for. So one of the important things that we kind of had to consider was, how how we can use the internet as a tool of mass mobilisation, kind of for cyberstorming. So these are the things that we kind of had to think about, which were physical distancing. It's a really big deal, you know. Where do we wear masks? How can we use space? How can we use architecture? How can we use kind of imagery and photography to our advantage during this time? So, yeah. So I'm going to walk you through some of the images that we've come up with. So, because we wanted to talk about telling the truth, we kind of decided, how do we do that with the backdrop of a city? How do we use urban architecture in a way that is really kind of potent? So there's some images here for you. I've done text along the side so you can kind of read it more in more detail through the thinking of how it works later on. So one of the things to kind of consider is every time you do an action, every time you take an image, you know, it's a kind of, it could either be part of your portfolio, or you can kind of consider it in terms of what does it look like? Did it work? Didn't it work? Which is the brilliant thing. And what can we do next time and how we would change it? So picking locations is kind of key, but I'll come on to that now. So one of the really important things with locations, so a lot of this is kind of trial and error, you know, so it's very interesting when you start putting really interesting juxtapositions next to each other. And by that I mean, what happens when you have a park, a beautiful, stunning, glorious, beautiful park, but you have messaging around, you know, denial is death, or it creates a real conflict in people. And that conflict can be a really good thing, because it can really make people consider and think about what it is they're doing. So what am I doing on a daily basis? Or have a little think about that. And what it allows us to do is really think about how the image behind you, so the backdrop of the city that you can see now, is how does that create a bigger kind of, almost like a depth of feeling for people. So one of the things we started kind of playing with during lockdown is talking about this idea of another world as possible. So during the time, you know, everyone will have, I can't even imagine the amount of stories that people have experienced and the most horrific things that people have gone through globally, and it will be different for every single one of you. But one of the things we talked about at length was messages of active hope. So in the UK, during the time of Corona, we had, our government were pulling together massive kind of bailout bills of millions and millions and millions of pounds, and not necessarily putting money into healthcare or putting money where we felt it needed it to be. So we kind of started creating banners, and we started having an open invitation to encourage people to think about, do we want a different world? Is a different world calling? And if we do, what might that look like? So one of the joys of social media is kind of thinking about what makes the best image. So whether it's a Facebook banner, or whether it's something for Instagram, or whatever it might be, it's always really good to kind of think about what those steps are. So think about the kind of ratio aspect of what you're trying to achieve. So these little images here in front of Trump Tower are ways that we kind of started kind of playing with that idea of, how do we get the best images on social media? So you can kind of see those for you to look at later on. So one of the brilliant things about, well, not brilliant, but one of the things that we've noticed during lockdown is thinking about how to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Adaptable, flexible, being able to work with the resources that we've got available. And that's a really important thing as a kind of activist organisation, because the rules change all the time, and so you have to change with it, and that's where creativity comes in, and it's really, really important. So having a kind of really streamlined team, so where you just need a banner holder, well, two, obviously, one on either side, a photographer, and then someone that is always good to have someone who is available that's not actually involved in the action, who can just talk to anyone who's either passing by, potentially, who has a question to ask. So there's always there's always an opportunity for education, or if there's any kind of problems with the police or people, if you're on private land or whatever you're doing. So it's always really important to have that. So what we found is we'd gone from usually being mass mobilizing, so we've got hundreds or thousands of people, and that's just like, that's what you see, but then behind that there's also a huge number of people that are kind of these amazing kind of invisible life force of people that are kind of feeding people, or, you know, arrestee support, or turning up in the middle of the night to make sure that camps are safe, or whatever that might be. So one of the things about Corona was it meant that we could be really mobile, really agile, and we can really respond really quickly. And what that has involved is doing actions outside of buildings. So in the UK this week, we had one outside of Barclays, delivering an open message and a kind of letter to the CEO of Barclays, and that got huge amounts of kind of coverage. We also did a similar one with the Bank of England on Wednesday. So, but they were very small, but they were very agile. So that was really important. So this is where social media is kind of coming into its own currently. This is just the safety side of things, that we decided it's really important that we couldn't stop protesting during a time of lockdown. So we consulted with the World Health Organization. We worked with lots of doctors globally, and they helped us come up with ideas of what we needed to do in order to protest safely. And so we've done that, and then we feel it's our duty of care really to show rebels what needs to happen, and then it's people's individual choices, how they choose to behave. So banners and messages. So what we decided was we started to look at playing with this idea of contrast. So it's very easy if you just have one message. So like tell the truth is one thing, and that's been a banner before, but it doesn't really create a contrast or a different way of looking at things. So we started kind of playing with the idea of, what if you have tell the truth as a starting point, and then you have denial equals death, for example, and another world is possible. So you're trying to take, by the use of using banners in this way, you're actively trying to take people on a journey, on an emotional journey, in terms of being like, oh, where am I, or where do I want to be, or where can I move to? So yeah, we started playing with the idea of that. Same again. So this idea of protecting life or loving Earth, and then making that decision about where do you invest in life, or we could start writing press releases around things like, you know, investing in life or investing in money, or where are you choosing to put your energy. So again, by using banners, what we were doing was creating a story and a narrative that allowed us to kind of create more questions or question people. So one of the things about XR, which has been really helpful, is it has a style guide, and it had a style guide right from the beginning, and the brilliant Charlie and Clive created that amongst other people, I'm sure. And what it did was it meant that it can be downloaded, and I think it's been downloaded like 15,000 times now. But what it means is, as long as you're adhering to the principles and the values of Extinction Rebellion, then you're able to use the artwork. And I guess as creatives yourself, I think there's something really interesting when you choose to create an open source design work, because what it does mean is it allows your message to be spread. And as a movement, I think that's really important. You might not feel the same way if you were working for a brand or if you were creating a product. But for us, I think it's really important to look at, how that works. So posting on social media. One of the brilliant things around creating a kind of a cyber storm, which is kind of like mass mobilization online, is the types of conversations you can have, which you wouldn't be able to have necessarily if you're on the street. So if you're using Twitter, Instagram, whatever your choice of medium is, it allows you to have quite an active dialogue. And one of the brilliant things that I love about it, it means that anyone can get involved. So you don't necessarily have to be someone that's going to take to the street. It doesn't mean that you have to be someone that is up for getting arrested. It just means that you need to be someone who's up for having a conversation. and choosing to kind of turn up at the time when an action is happening, and so the kind of cyber conversation is happening online, so you can kind of get involved. And we've also found other ways of protesting that have been really brilliant are doing an action, so being outside in some form of protest, looking at how we can then sell those pictures into picture desks for editorial coverage, which is actually really, really important. Good images go a really, really long way. And currently at the moment, since lockdown, a lot of journalists have lost their jobs and they're on skeleton staff, so they'll always look for really, really good content. So having images is really, really important. So take time to have a little think about that. So it's just a little picture of how it appears. So International Women's Day. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about social media, which is one aspect of how we can kind of engage in creative ways of change, but also want to look at different ways of creating a canvas. So how your body can become a canvas. So ta-da! So this was an action that took place in various different places around the world for International Women's Day. If you click on the hyperlink, the view of the press release, it will take you through, so you can kind of, on each of the slides, it will kind of take you through. So climate is a women's issue. I don't know if any of you are aware that probably about 80% of women will be more harshly impacted than men as a result of climate change. So all the women out there, think about that. All the men out there, think about that too. So for International Women's Day, Extinction Rebellion, so we had solidarity actions that were taking place in Colombia, in Spain, in Turkey, I'm reading this because I don't remember them all, the Gambia, Pakistan, Nigeria, Uganda, Belgium, Israel, the Philippines, Switzerland, Argentina and the UK. So we decided, we got criticised, and there was a lot of criticism for some people for having naked bodies, but I think the women involved in the conversation decided that actually they felt it was a really empowered way of making a choice about how to use their body themselves and how their body could be a canvas. So all the different places around the world chose what messaging that they wanted. As you can see, I think you could probably get a little bit, there's like climate justice, climate rape, climate equality. But yeah, this is a really great way of looking at how you can use your body. So your body as a canvas is one. So lobbying lawyers in costume. So there was a brilliant action that took place. I'm just going to get it up here so I can have a look for you guys in different places. Here we go. So there's been some lobbying that's been going on for a long time behind the scenes around the 4th runway at Heathrow, and it has now been successfully stopped. It's going to appeal. So this is what happened when a bunch of lawyers and lobbyists and costume designers got together. And what they did is look at how they can use costume as a way to create content. So again, these were, I wish I could show you the video, which I can't actually, but basically this was probably about, I think it was about 30 people, and they were all in unison, kind of doing the kind of what you do when you're waiting to get on a plane. And it looked really great, and it got a huge amount of coverage, which is actually really important when a court of appeal is probably something, you know, where it could feel quite dry as a conversation or as content. So we're always trying to look at ideas or ways in which we can creatively look at content to make it feel either more approachable for people, or people want to read a story, or they maybe stumble upon it, or they maybe see it on TikTok, or they kind of look at it in a very different way. Okay, so theatre. So we've done a few of these, just going to go straight in. So crime scene investigations. So we found that crime scene investigations works incredibly well when you do them outside of buildings where brand damage could be quite problematic. So usually when we're trying to have a direct conversation with CEOs inside buildings, so this was for the Ardini mine. So we did a crime scene, and actually we got such a huge amount of coverage, and we did there was the simultaneous actions going on in Australia as well at the same time. So I think my advice would be try and get as creative as you can. And the good thing about this is they don't take up a lot of time. So one of the things that you find with the police is when doing actions, they don't like things that take place over long lengths of time, but things that take place over short lengths of time, they're more open and receptive to. I'm obviously talking about the UK because that's where I'm based, and I can't talk about other places globally because I don't have an inside knowledge of policing around the world. But in the UK, the police are much more open to the idea of, when protests take place over such a short space of time. So, this is one. So again, if you click through onto the press release, you'll be able to have a little look and see what kinds of things we got up to with that one. Just have a quick nosy through.
And just to chip in there, Ali, just to let you know, folks, that we'll be getting these slides from you, Ali. Is that okay? If we...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry, I've made them. I've probably made them so that they're really great for you to just take away, and there's loads of information in them. So, and then you can click through, and they're all like super interactive.
So good. Thank you so much, Ali. Just wanted to
that's fine. So then it's all about the packaging. So I'm just trying to give you some different ideas of what you can do. So HS2. So in the UK, we have a proposed, it's happening, where infrastructure project, which is going to cause mass destruction of an epic scale in the UK. So one of the things that was considered was how can you do kind of playful things or engaging ways to play with this idea, to try and put it onto people's radars. So one of the guys involved in the HS2 project designed a train set, which you can kind of see now. Sorry, the photo's not very good, but when you click through, you'll be able to see. So inside this train set, there was loads of kind of bits of information. So it actually went on a tour. So there was a bus, a very tiny little bus, and it went on a tour with these train sets, and it had Chris Packham. Chris Packham came along, which was brilliant, and he was handing out train sets to MPs and to various different people to look at how we could engage people in that conversation. So it was really, really great. I'm just going to quickly click and see if there's anything that I've forgotten in this. No. So that will click through to the press release, so it's got all the information in it too. So I just wanted to use this as a way of kind of saying how design can work differently. So it doesn't always have to be a protest. So we've had costume, we've had crime scene, we've had theatre, and we've had packaging. So this is actually my favourite. So you can't see, so this is basically a set design of an actual house, not an actual house, like as in it's a prefab house, and that is actually floating in the Thames. So this was designed by a boat builder, and it took 3 months to make, and it was to bring awareness to kind of water rising, and it was quite a complex, this was quite a complex action to do. Basically, we had to work with Harbour Master, we had to get permissions from the Harbour Master. We also had to make sure that it was tested to be safe. Obviously, from a boat building perspective, there was lots of things that kind of had to go alongside this one. It was quite complex. We also had to work with the police at great length for them to agree to let us to do this. We had to kind of sink the house in a place in the Thames, and then it had to be weighted so it could go further down, and then it was moved along. And then what we did is we had a press team. We had a boat behind the house in which we had various different kind of journalists from all kinds of places, and they went alongside. And this got, I think, I want to say something like 800 different pieces of news globally. So this for me is like a really kind of outstanding what can happen when we have brilliant design. Yeah, it's amazing. Took a lot of time and effort though. Okay, so last one to kind of talk to you about is projections. So one of the brilliant things about projections, as we've discovered, is you can actually create a rig, a setup, like in a mechanical setup, whereby you can have the projector attached to someone's body, which is what this one was, which makes it really easy, really mobile, really responsive, and it's very easy to get a message out there very, very quickly, which was designed by someone who's a bit of a genius. So I guess this is a kind of, I don't know if there's any kind of slightly geeky production people out there that would be interested in this, but if there are, you can kind of contact me further. But this is the idea of how to get messaging on buildings. Obviously this is Parliament in the UK, without one, getting arrested, two, getting your gear confiscated, and yeah, so this was really, really, really exciting to be able to do that. And we've done it several times in different places, and projection is a really good way of getting your messaging out, because you can't be done for criminal damage in the UK, because it's you're just painting with light, and so obviously once it goes, there is no criminal damage. Obviously, the one thing I would say when doing projections are you can't do them in the daytime, so there are problems associated with that, and definitely in case of trying to get press attention or media attention, because you have to wait, like for now, like in the summertime here, you know, it's not getting dark until 10 o'clock at night, and if you want to get a journalist out anytime after 10 o'clock, good luck with that. So these things kind of all take thinking about. So projections are brilliant, way better in the winter, I'd say. Well, in the UK, start thinking about them sort of September time onwards. So when planning actions or thinking about how design can work, for me, in a kind of summary of talking about ideas, it's thinking about social media can be really brilliant, especially when you can't physically meet in a physical space. Projections can be brilliant, thinking about the time of year in which you might choose to do them. Looking at design, so costumes are awesome, really, really great, as are creating kind of theatrical scenes, as are looking at like packaging, all of which I'm sure all of you guys have got amazing skills at behind the scenes. So yeah, it's a good one to think about. Have a look. And then there's me, Fred. I think I'm done.
Well, thank you, Ali. That was great. I will give you
great speed.
No, it was brilliant. I'll give you a virtual round of applause there, which is the symbol for. I'm sure we've got some applause out there in the module team, in the module participants, rather. Forgive me. Thanks for that. Really great. Obviously, you do a whole bunch of other stuff in terms of kind of campaigning more directly with policy and stuff, but what I really enjoyed was the fact that you were showing our community of creative practitioners some really exciting possibilities they could play with. I mean, I know there's a kind of more hard-edged side to what XR does, where you get the lawyers involved and you're really in there, speaking that language as well. Yeah, I think design is. I think it's really underestimated, and I think probably one of the things for me about design which is really beautiful is when you make things alongside people and you're sharing space, whether that's just idea space, you're not necessarily meeting in person. It's such an amazing way to build a community, and collaborating with people is such a joyous thing, when you just share ideas and shoot the breeze, and it's really, really important. So design works in many ways, not just output, I think. No, you're absolutely right. It's community building and kind of strengthens your network as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely. Obviously, we could take questions for Ali. I think we've got it for a little bit longer. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask her, please post them in the questions sharing channel or in the Slack. That would be great. Let me see if I can come up with one for you in the meantime. I would say, If you had to choose one, kind of, which is the most you think for you guys? Is it kind of? I mean, it feels like kind of. I would imagine a real world incursion. More activity with the press, but maybe the social media side of things goes more viral. What do you? Where do you think?
Do you know what? It's really fascinating, isn't it? I think if you'd have asked me kind of pre-corona, because I mean, everyone and everything, as we know, has changed. I think I would have been definitely a kind of in physical person. Makes a real difference, because I think print and newspaper journalism is like a really big deal when changing policy, I think, personally. But I think social media is so great from a kind of democratic kind of level playing field, because anyone can join in, and that's why I love it so much. And I think, we only have to look at what's happened with K-pop, in the States, and looking at how everyone can join in. And I think it's evolved. I don't. This is such a bad answer, Fred. I don't know if I have a favourite. I think it's always evolving, and I think one of the things I love about a protest space is that it is so adaptable, and it has to be adaptable, and that's what makes it so exciting. Because like design, like the kind of the New York kind of hybrid kit was created as a result of Corona,
Right.
So that's the beauty of it. You the protest space and design space are kind of evolving all the time, which is really, really great.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. You've got to be agile and nimble in this space. Okay, I've got a curveball for you from Christine. How do you think design and XR can help combat the, inverted commas, white bourgeois image that it has? A lot of the images you presented were quite homogenous in terms of diversity. So,
Yeah, no, I'm really, thank you for that question. It's really great. The reason I'm looking quite so tired is this morning we were doing an action outside of the Department for International Trade, and also in a factory, a tear gas and rubber bullets factory outside of Derby. And we have been talking at length in terms of trying to build conversations in a movement of movements way behind the scenes to acknowledge the place of privilege that XR has had, because its theory of change was always around being able to be arrested, and that's not okay in certain countries. It's not okay here, and I think it's a really good question. And the action that we did this morning was with various different communities, because part of our privilege or being in a situation is looking at how we can have those difficult conversations around why is it okay for the UK government to be using tear gas and rubber bullets as an export, like as one of its one of its best exports. So I think it's not an easy topic of conversation, and I think it's one that has to evolve, and it will continue to do so. So thanks for that question.
Yeah, I think we're all having those conversations, and we should be having. So that's great. Thank you. Veronica would like to know: are there legal issues taken into consideration while projecting in a public space? I think we probably we only could answer that from a UK perspective right now, couldn't we? So, and I think you did in your presentation. So, Veronica, perhaps we'll just kind of acknowledge that. I don't know if you didn't say you could really speak to it in terms of other countries, did you?
No, I think so. Basically, obviously, there's no criminal damage in terms of from a kind of physical space kind of thing, because you're only painting with light rather than painting with a spray can or something else. I'm speaking from the UK point of view, so I don't know how it is in other countries. The biggest issue will always be where you choose to do the projection. You don't need legal permission to do a projection on a building, but the issue will always be carrying kit and getting your kit confiscated. So that will always be the kind of legal issue when you are making a choice to do something where, that's always going to be the one.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. And so you need to do a bit of research, Monica, about all the cases in, I think, where you are, if you want to explore that avenue. Maddie would like to know about the house a bit more. The set design, architect, was it a combination of skills? How was the process of designing it?
Wow. Do you know, if you I'm sure the person that was involved in that, if you wanted to have further details, I can probably kind of make that happen for you. So get in contact via. But basically, it was someone who is in Cornwall. So the guy that came up with the idea, he's a boat builder, brilliant human being. Builds boats for a living, and said, I really have got this idea and I really want to do it. So that's just how it started. It started with one person having a brilliant idea, which is what quite often most actions do. And then he kind of started talking to a few other people in his group, in his local group, and they were kind of like, this is really great. Like, I'll help. So basically, we only had one boat builder, and everyone else didn't have any kind of design experience.
Wow.
But what they were willing to do was to kind of listen and learn and to be part of that process. But issues that, the design process went on, so it was decided, like, I need to make something that floats. How do I do that? Thankfully, he was a boat builder, so he was pretty good at that. And then there were practical issues in terms of how do you get it from Cornwall up to London, which is where it took place. How do I do it without anyone seeing it? How do I get it in the river? It was, so the big thing was negotiating all the permissions around it to make that happen, and then having all the press there. So yeah. Right.
So many layers of organisations. Lots.
Yeah, that was a multiple layered thing. Yeah, for sure.
I bet, but I love the way that it just started with a great idea, because that's kind of what we're exploring here. Is like, what's your idea, and then let's just see if that has the energy and enthusiasm to pull people along. Okay.
Fred, it's only ever one person.
Exactly.
And that's why it's really inspiring, because it's kind of like anyone can do it. That's what makes it so great.
Absolutely. Nice, thank you. Okay, we've got loads of questions coming in, and I'm aware our time is limited, so forgive me, folks, I might just have to pick and choose a little bit. Okay, let's throw you another curveball. Andrew would like, how do you walk the line between public reputation and getting noticed as an organisation? XR, in his opinion, has achieved mass acclaim among many for its ambitious messaging, but has also received negative connotations among others in the UK. Is this inevitable, or is it possible to cultivate a primarily positive image without watering down the movement?
Good question. Where do I begin? I mean, I could take all day on that one.
It's a big one.
So I talk about my relationship with XR in general. It's a bit like Marmite. Sometimes I love it, sometimes not so much so. And I think that's one of the things when you work inside a movement, because there are thousands and thousands of people, and you can't necessarily always agree with people. And I think that's part of being in a decentralized movement. So because we don't have this kind of top-down way of behaving, which is kind of like you have to agree with what all the rules are at the top and everyone abides by those rules, it's the flip reverse, which is, everyone can kind of, as long as they're working within the kind of the values and the principles and values of Extinction Rebellion, which is, non-violence and those principles, then anyone can get involved. And it might be that you don't always agree with people and things happen, and you can't, someone might decide to do an action and you'd be like, oh no, I don't really, and it's kind of like, and it happens. And I guess there's something about how do you create a culture of tolerance and understanding. So that has been probably part of my relationship, in terms of being like, I don't always agree with people and I don't always see eye to eye, but actually if the messaging or what's happening is getting through to governments, and that's really important. And I think the other quick one on that is, one of the things I had to come to terms with were sometimes protests or certain actions can feel viscerally they can feel really uncomfortable. They don't feel nice, but the whole point is to create that level of dilemma, because you need to create policy change. So we all did things that were like, oh, is that okay? Do you mind? Is that okay? Things don't change. We know things don't change. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great point. And I know your organisation is very unique in the way that it kind of mandates, and you've taken a lot of lessons from Occupy and people like that and moved on beyond that. Really interesting stuff. Again, a whole other talk, I'm sure we could get to. Tejaz, I'm seeing your point about India, where it's much more, you have to be much more subtle about it. I should acknowledge that. But I will also, and I see Maria saying, is there any way you can get involved and volunteer? I think the answer is yes. Get in touch. Devika, what form of activism facilitates a more participatory and democratic culture? Physical dissent or cyber We touched on that a little bit earlier, but yeah, you were leaning towards the cyber activism a bit more, weren't you?
I think it's because it's just one of the beautiful things about cyber activism is not just about creating policy change or kind of making a statement. There's so many things that are going on behind the scenes as well, which is how are we kind of gearing up towards citizens' assembly? So how are we looking at democracy, which are, I've got conferences this afternoon, calls with, I will have people like from people in India, I've got calls with people in Nigeria, I've got calls, and it's about having those open dialogues and those conversations behind the scenes. And I think one of the things about Extinction Rebellion in the UK is obviously you see, what you see is what makes the papers, and so you can make a decision according to what is portrayed in social media or on the screen, but actually there's an awful lot of things that go on behind the scenes, including one of the beautiful things, one of the things that happened from Corona was because we had such an amazing network of people, what we did is we had huge amounts of mutual aid that was going on behind the scenes for people that no one, when XR went quiet come sort of March time, that's what was happening behind the scenes. So there's so many things I think that people don't really see, which is a bit sad, but that's life. We can't do it all because it's a volunteer-led organisation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Capacity. And I've got two people asking the same question, so I think I better pay attention there. Violet and Melina would both like your take on why do you think the body as canvas is so powerful?
I think probably your body is a place of great strength and also great vulnerability. And I think the action that took place on International Women's Day is to expose your body in such a way is hugely vulnerable. So to use it then as a kind of blank messaging canvas is incredibly powerful because you're making a choice you're making a choice around your own vulnerability and what you choose to what you choose to have on your body for your kind of personal identity in politics. And I think that's really that's why I think for me that was so powerful.
Yeah, well, it certainly seemed to be responding, as Melina was saying. Seems like it shifts the power of the traditional male gaze, and I think that's probably sounds like a.
However, the criticisms that we got were all from men.
Oh well, Kelsey Priest.
The trolling online was majority of men, interestingly.
So, well, apologies on behalf of my gender.
No.
Great. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there. But listen, Ali, thank you again so much. We really very much appreciate it. I know how busy you are, yeah, it was an amazing take to get your kind of all these amazing things you've managed to achieve, and actually get behind the curtain a little bit and see some of the mechanisms that are going on there from a creative point of view, especially. It's really so useful.
Great. Well, I hope the deck, when you dive into it, guys, is really helpful. So it's got the details in there of how things have happened. So rather than me just running through it at great speed.
We've got some more detail to mine when we get that over. That's brilliant. Thank you again, Ali. And yeah, see you at some point. I hope the rest of the workshop. Who knows? Maybe you can come to the launch night or whatever. But we're very glad to have you on board. And yeah, thank you so much again. Very much.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Okay, well, there we go. Let's have a 5 minute, let's go crazy. Let's have a 7 minute break. Hey, Abby, that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Amazing stuff. Really enjoyed that.
Excellent. Okay, and I think, as I say, I think we probably need a little bit of time to digest. So, apologies if we didn't get to your questions. I hope I fielded them and represented them well enough. Let's just all go and get a last walk around, glass of water, whatever you need. We're back here at 4:35 BST, so 16:35, and then we'll wrap things up. There's a couple of things we've got to go through, but it's all basic stuff, nothing major, to be honest with you. So see you in 7 or so minutes. 4:35, 16:35. See you in a moment. Okay, so we nearly are at the end of the first day of Modual. That's exciting. Oh, thank you. Power. Forgive my pitched squeal on it. Change the leader out. Good catch, thank you. What else is going on here? Oh yeah, no, I got it. All over it. Very nice. Hey Abby, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Yeah, feeling great. How about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, what a great day. Yeah, thank you so much for your participation today. It's been amazing. Really great to meet you all. And yeah, just to give some context to that talk, we're very glad to have Ali and XR as partners. We also have the British Council as partners, and they're going to be talking to you later on in the week. They may well have a slightly different slant on everything, and indeed Blast Theory and Studio Moros. So these are perspectives for you. They're not necessarily, as I said before the talk, designed to kind of suggest you should be replicating these approaches. It's just more intended to be a hopeful inspiration. So take it on or not as you please. It's really very much your call. So yeah, inspirational rather than saying you must go in this direction. So yeah, and as I say, you're going to get 2 or 3, even 4 more perspectives before the end of the week, so you'll be able to see lots of stuff. Cool. So we're going to watch pretty soon, and I've got a bit of admin to run through, but before I go there, because we're going to break pretty much after that, are there any urgent questions, or indeed non-urgent questions, that you want to ask before the day ends? Because now is a moment for you to ask us in the questions channel if there's anything more you would like to know. Excuse me, if you'd like to know from us, anything at all. Logistical is probably the main thing. I'll go through a little bit of detail for tomorrow, but yeah, is there anything at all you want to ask? I'm going to pause for a moment and just see if there's anything going off in the questions channel. Anything at all? Anything at all? Okay. A moment longer, just in case. Let's have a look. No, I think we're all right so far. It looks like we covered most of it. Excellent. All right. Well, I mean, feel free if something occurs during the rest of this presentation. Oh, there we go. Speak of the devil. I think we've got one here. Let's have a look. Any schedule for tomorrow? All righty. Fair enough. Let's just do it. I will tell you about tomorrow. Thank you very much for that, Shmi. Yeah, I'm going to share some slides very quickly just to give you some stuff. Let's have a look at this. It'll help me to remember all the things I have to tell you. So you've seen the question slide. Tomorrow, we absolutely would kind of need you to have a pen and paper with you tomorrow, please. If you didn't have any pens and paper today, you probably got away with it. Tomorrow, please do have a pen and paper with you. And yeah, it doesn't matter what, any pen, any paper, but yeah, it'd be good to do that. Oh, I've just had an announcement as well that Ali is on Slack for the next few hours. So if you've got any questions you want to direct to her directly, just pop them in the questions channel as well, and we'll see if we can get any answers from her. So if you have any questions that didn't get answered, feel free to post those in Slack. So, but back to logistical business here. Pen and paper tomorrow, please. And we're going to ask you to think about some more ideas to this question, the question you answered earlier. What would you create to make the world a better place if you knew you couldn't fail? And if you haven't got any ideas, it's not a huge problem, but it would perhaps serve you in the workshop if you came up with some more ideas. And already we've got some stuff. I know there's some multiple posts in the chat. We are, Cassia, going to we're going to collate all you are going to collate all these ideas. So there will be, this is the beginning of the brainstorming process. Just again, spoiler alert, reveal. Tomorrow is going to be about getting as many ideas for this on the table as possible. And I'll talk more about that in detail tomorrow morning. But yes, these ideas aren't just going out in the ether. We're going to capture them, and you're going to capture them, and we'll do stuff with them. And again, be specific about it. It would be my advice. Think about specific incursions. XR wanted to change people's attitudes towards climate emergency. They put a house in the Thames. That was a strategy. That was a way of doing it that they found. And yeah. So try and get as specific as you can about your ideas. And again, you got free range to do what you want with that. It's still in brainstorming mode. We asked you to do a picture kucha to provide us with some slides that you could speak to. That's going to happen tomorrow morning. So if by any chance you haven't done that yet, you need to post those slides in Slack. It's not a big deal. It's a very quick kind of, I don't know if you guys know about the Pechakucha concept. It's just a cool format where you just get to speak to slides and they change every 20 seconds. And we'll demonstrate that and go into that tomorrow. But you do need, out the homework, you do need to have delivered those by the end of the day today before you clock off. So please do that, and then we can get that all sorted for tomorrow. Other things we would like you to do right now. Could you please give us some feedback in the feedback channel and tell us how it is going for you? It could just be an emoji, it could be a smiley face or an unhappy face or an average face, or you could tell us other stuff. If stuff wasn't working for you and you didn't feel like you wanted to absolutely directly message us, you could put it in that channel now. If things are working, we'd also like to hear about it too. There's a feedback channel in all your Slack groups. There's a channel there, so please post any feedback you have for us in the feedback channel, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. We try and respond as much as we can, because we've got a very strong belief in a flat hierarchy, in kind of adapting this and co-designing almost this workshop with you. So anything you tell us, we will take on board and we'll do our best to respond. Thank you so much. One more thing. Buddy time. We have a thing called buddy time. And what we're going to do is we're going to team you up with somebody else on the workshop and ask you to check in before you leave at the end of every day, because again, you might have stuff you don't want to put on Slack or you don't want to share. We're going to team you up with a buddy, and you are going to talk to them for, as long as you like. But it doesn't have to be a huge conversation, but yeah, just a quick conversation. So there is going to be very shortly an info, if I'm not mistaken, it's landing pretty much any moment, a buddy, and we're going to demonstrate it like that. Here is an illustration of the buddy that you might have. For example, I am paired with Molly, and then there is a way to, within Slack, call that person directly. Now, if there's a problem with that, you can DM each other and message it out, but we're pretty sure, famous last words, no, we're pretty darn sure you can just click on the icon. When you click on their name, I think this is what you do first. If I was doing this, I would click on their name, Molly, module producer, I would get this window up, which would say try a video call. Maybe I wouldn't, but in any case, the thing you're looking for is the phone icon. There is a phone icon. I'm not sure if that's in the chat or not, but yeah, you should be able to work it out. And yeah, it's something that we tested the other day, and we thought you wouldn't be able to do this in Slack, but I think if you're doing a two-person call, you can do it in Slack, and that's absolutely fine. So so yeah, if you could check in, and as I say, look for the phone icon, and all we want you to do is to share with each other how the day has been and how you're feeling. Just take a little time, just go free form. We're not going to regulate it with phone timers or anything like that. But we just want you to just go, hi, nice to meet you, buddy. You'll be meeting the same person every day at the end of every day. We've done our best to team you up with someone suitable. If for some reason they're not there, tell us, we'll find you someone else. It all depends on everybody maintaining their presence in the workshop throughout. So occasionally we have people who haven't stuck around for the whole day, and that's fine, but then yeah, it's not going on that. Anyway, so I want you to go off, do your buddy time, give us some feedback, and then stop and have a break and pat yourself on the back because you've done extremely well for the first day. I can't believe how far we've got already in one day. Imagine what we're going to be like at the end of next week. So before I say goodbye for the day, does anyone have any questions about any of that? You obviously know already you have the fantastic Modual team who can help you out with all the buddy stuff. And yes, again, to re-stress the point that Ali is around to answer your questions, should you wish to post them in Slack. If you just want to chip and go away right now, that's absolutely fine, after you've done your buddy time and your feedback. But yes, are there any other questions? What language, Pechakucha? When you present Pechakucha, thank you very much. We're going to do that tomorrow morning, Haruka, thank you. And the language, I would just put up images, to be honest with you. I wouldn't put any words on it, but you can put words if you want. But I would just say, find a few images that introduce you. 5 images. The brief has just been reposted in the questions and sharing channel by Molly. In one of your classrooms anyway. It may well be not the other one, but I'm sure you can find it if you need to. Just 5 images that say, hi, here I am, an introduction basically. So tell you what, I'll give you, should we do our Pechakucha now, Babby? Just do that?
Oh, I don't know, I feel like we should.
Save it for tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to save it for tomorrow. But basically, 5 images that just kind of say, this is who I am. And it could be, a holiday. What language is the word from? Oh, Pechakucha, I do beg your pardon. It's Japanese. I do beg your pardon. And I'll tell you what for free, Shivani, you do not pronounce it like that. And I'm sure someone on this call, perhaps Anna on our staff team, could tell you how you pronounce it. But it was invented in Japan by a company called Klein Dytham, and it's a very unique process that I think is really, really good at kind of just giving you a quick intro. So I will consult with Anna on our team, who I think will be able to pronounce it, but that's how you spell it, and I can't help but say persecution, so apologies. And apologies for misunderstanding your question, Shivani. Okay, we are nearly done, I think, but please do give us feedback. Do go and find your buddy. If you need any help, we're here, but you should be pretty simple. Just click on their name and then click on the phone signal, and you can do a call in Slack, within the magic of Slack. And if not, then maybe you've got to share phone numbers or something, but you'll work it out, I'm sure. Alrighty, it's nearly a wrap. We're stopping 14 minutes early. That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
I've got one more plug.
Sorry, go for it. Oh, yeah, I don't know what it is as well. I'll be ready in the background as you operate. Here we go.
Okay, I would just love to plug the social media for Modual at the moment, which is Modual_workshop, and I will post links, but here it is, and we've got a fantastic social media guy who's been working on it and tracking your progress, so check that out, give it a follow, tag us in stuff, and we'll repost you, but just keep an eye on there.
Fantastic, thank you for reminding me. Oh, and I forgot as well that you can, the whole workshop is being streamed. This is a kind of a weird meta thing going on where you're seeing my slides. Apologies for the pixelized, that pixel in there. We mentioned that to Ali and she shared our slides. But there is Module TV live, and that's blowing my mind because I can see myself about 10 seconds ago. So I'm going to stop doing that right now. But if you've got anybody who wants to kind of observe, it's at modual.org/TV, and the URL is in the Slack with everything else. Okay, have I forgotten anything else? I hope not. I think that might be us.
I think it is.
All righty. Listen, thanks again. Very much appreciated. Big day tomorrow. They're all big days, to be honest with you. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Really great to meet you all and begin to get to know you. And I'm sure I can speak on behalf of my whole team. The whole Module team, and not my team, the Module team, in saying we're so glad to have you on board for this journey. And we look forward to helping you every step of the way. Any last words, Abby?
Just, again, endless gratitude for how thankful that you guys are giving us your time to create something amazing with us, because I mean, by the looks of today, we got some cool stuff coming, so I'm really excited, and I hope you all will have a good evening, good morning, or whatever it is, good sleep, good snooze, and have a good time.
Right, well said. Go speak to your buddy. Don't forget to give us some feedback. See you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Bye.
See ya.